I would like to now invite Dr. Namita. She is currently Senior Education Specialist for Perkins International for Asia Pacific region. Dr. Namita has been an advisor to Bhutan Foundation Special Education Program since 2016, and she will now make us through the context of the conference and then set the tone for the conference.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your introduction, and thank you everybody for this opportunity to address and be a part of this group. I feel very much a part of the progress of this nation, particularly in this area of providing services to children with disabilities. The theme this year is Transformative Solutions for Inclusive Communities. It's the theme developed by the United Nations. And we're trying to put this theme in the context of Bhutan. And I'd like to spend a minute on these two words, inclusive community. The idea behind an inclusive community is really a philosophy. It isn't just a series of practices. It isn't a special school. It isn't a policy. It's everything. It's an internal philosophy. It's a belief and an understanding that disability is very much a part of humanity. Just as some of us may be tall or small or fat or thin, have black hair or any other characteristic, it is one that we have because we are human. Therefore, any service, any community needs to embrace and respect and plan for these differences. Let's also look at the word transform. When is a society transformed? What is the difference between change and transform? Transform is a change forever. It is a change that lasts because we have made it a part of who we are. What does it take for such a transformation to happen? How do we know when it happens? We know when it happens in a society when you see the children. When you look at childhood and you can see that children with disabilities have reasons to laugh. They have friends to play with. They have places they may go where anybody else goes. And they have an education system that believes in their potential to grow up, to be a part of this community, a contributing, responsible citizen. And the question we ask ourselves is, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Have we made it? And I think if you look at the children, their experience of childhood, if you look at their future, their possibility to be adults who contribute, and you look at the systems, and you look at yourselves, are we creating an inclusive society? This is the question before us. We do have a policy that starts so beautifully, recognizing that all human beings are born with unique gifts and abilities to contribute to the development of the nation and of themselves. And it goes on to say all the things that we as Bhutan would like to do, would like to have in place. But between policy and reality, let's face it, there is an enormous gap. In order for transformation to happen, we need to recognize this, own it, accept it, and decide what we want to do about it. This two-day conference is all about this. It's about looking at where the gaps are, and these you will see in the 3 sessions. It's also looking at what seems to be working, because it's not as if we have nothing. We have things to be proud of. Each the way we approach is to move through these three levels, to look always, keep the child always at the center, to support their growth, their development, and their ability to attain their own potential, to look at the adults that surround these children, who make the decisions that impact their childhood and their opportunities. And we work closely with them, be it families, be it educators, be it leaders in the community. And of course, we look at the systems, whether it's at the level of an organization or the level of the government. And to stitch these together, we have two approaches. To make sure that we don't do these three things in isolation, we use these two ways of thinking. Planning, when you are an infant, to move, where do you want to be next? How do you plan for that movement? How do you know where you need to go? When you are in ECCD, how do you plan to move forward? To always look ahead and create a clear plan. The second thread is total life learning, an approach to designing their environment, to designing a learning experience that applies right from early childhood all the way through life. Next. Here's an example of how it works. If you create a vision of where you want to be, on the left, you have a vision of a young man. I will say young man because he was over 20 when we met him. He was still in school and he was still failing but still trying. There was no clarity on what he will do. The whole goal seemed to be pass my school. But why? Where are you going? And having this conversation with the student, asking him to look into himself and tell me, who does he want to become? Where does he want to live? What does he want to do? Look at the clarity of his plan. I want to earn enough to buy things for my parents. Now, that is a dream that I can help you achieve. The minute he had this plan, he could advocate for himself. He could say to his parents, this is where I want to go, this is how I want to get there. And this young man held back for years because of a learning disability. Today pursues a real dream, his dream. On the other side, you see the dream of a parent for her little child. Where does she want her to go? How does she want her to be 5 years, 10 years down the road? What is the space she sees her child enjoying her childhood in? And this helps you. Her requirements are so simple and so sweet, but it immediately helped her to look at the opportunities she herself provides for her children, to look at the decisions she was making that was actually keeping her child from these goals. This is the power of planning with an eye to a positive future for any individual. How does this become real? It becomes real when families recognize what they want and have the capacity to ask for it. The FENSIM Parent Support Group, I've had the privilege of knowing many of the parents here as individual parents because of their children or because of the centers that they attended. And so it was with awe that I sat and watched them come together and create an organization that helped share their own stories, their own learning, their own idea of what strategies were powerful, to take it and fight for it. All over Asia, all over the world, some of the best services, some of the best transformative solutions come from parents. They come through parents. They come because of parents. Today you will hear how FENSIM Support Group is picking up on this idea and sharing it, taking it across Bhutan. Let's look at education. How do we enable meaningful education that results in meaningful participation in life? This is where you'll see the second thread that takes us through. It's the total life approach. It means that school should be much more than learning history and geography and language and mathematics. Particularly for children with disabilities, we need to design a way of education, an approach to education, so that their learning may transcend these academic subjects and include subjects or opportunities that fill their life. This is the program at Mongar Middle Secondary School. It's been our privilege to work with them and to use both these tools, the total life approach and a positive future planning, a transition planning approach. And it's allowed their students to experience a different way of learning. This you will hear. You will hear from the teacher at Mongar, Madam Ishi. She will share with you the way she plans her classes, the experience she gives her students, each of whom are very different, and the richness of learning that has resulted. These approaches can transform. These approaches can absolutely move beyond an individual benefit, individual person, individual school, and it can cross across to make a difference to an entire society. Next, looking at the infant program, the early childhood program, has been where a lot of our processes have been tested, have been developed, and the understanding that all children can learn if provided the simplest of assistance. This you'll see today through Hejo and the facilitators, demonstrating for you how really being thoughtful about materials, environments, and activities can include and benefit all the children. The pamphlets that you have on your table are a summary of some of the approaches that have been developed, working in partnership with the Hejo and the facilitators as well as Changanga. Today, you will decide. You will decide if we just talk and go home, or you will decide if we will move forward. You will hear through the panels all the things that we worry about, that still need to be done, that still need to be thought about, that still need to be implemented. You will hear many presentations talking about achievements. But what you will do with them is up to you. This is really what we need. Every child can learn and contribute to their community if they have quality education that helps their dreams come true, which will happen if they have well-prepared educators and well-supported families. In every society, in any movement, there is what we call a tipping point. It means that all of us have done individual pieces of work, benefited little drops. Can we bring these together so that the force of our movement, the force of everything that we've been thinking, doing, trying, pushes us across these individual actions into a collective progress of the field? Change, transformative change, can only happen if each and every one of you make that commitment to change. So I leave you with this thought and encourage you again that this conference can be the tipping point. It can be the reason we will have an unstoppable movement forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Namita. I think that clearly sets the context and the tone for the conference. And as I requested earlier, and Dr. Namita clearly mentioned, you will decide today what needs to change. So therefore, we would like you to participate actively, put down your ideas, your notes, your suggestions, and make sure you put up on the boards, because we want you to be part of it, and we will value your ideas, your recommendations.